Good evening, everybody. We can say it a little bit louder. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third meeting that we've had of this sort, these legislative sessions held by the County Executive, Rashawn Baker. This is our third year doing these sessions, and the purpose of them, as you probably well know, is for us to listen to you. That's why they're called listening sessions. We want to hear your suggestions, your ideas on potential legislation that could be introduced at the state level, possibly at the city council level, and maybe in some cases in some of our municipalities. Obviously, there'll be some things that you'll bring up tonight that won't necessarily be in legislative speak, but in every idea or comment that you make, there's the possibility that the idea, comment, or concern could turn itself into legislation. So you often hear your representatives, elected representatives, telling you what they are going to do for you. Today is their opportunity to hear from you what you would like them to do. So they're going to listen attentively. Before I introduce a couple of people, I did want to quickly kind of go through our ground rules for tonight. So that we're respectful of everybody. We have approximately 24, 25 individuals who are scheduled to speak this evening. And certainly if you hear the issue that you were going to bring forward addressed and you feel like it's been addressed appropriately, you are certainly welcome to yield to the next individual and say, that's okay, it's been stressed enough. But for those who are on the list, you will get 3 minutes to present. Courtney Glass here, who is sitting to my left, your right, will give you the signal at the 1 minute mark, and she will also give you the signal at the 30-second mark with a beautiful pink sign that she has here to her side. For those who can't see it in the back, we hope the pink at least lets you know if you see it the first time it's 1 minute, second time you see it is 30 seconds. And we would hope that you would be respectful of the residents and other individuals who are here so we can make sure that everyone gets their time to say their piece. In addition to that, we also have a number of individuals here, and you probably saw from out front, we brought the government to you, tried to make sure we brought as many of the agencies and departments that we thought could address some of your questions that you had before you came in or clarify any concerns or questions that you may have. You will probably see the county executive or someone point out the individual who can address your concern after that question. So also be ready to kind of peel off and share more information with that individual. We've noticed on a couple occasions that the conversation can get loud as numbers of people start talking to people on the sides. So if possible, if it's okay, if you could kind of carry the conversation out in the hallway, so then that way it doesn't get too loud in here with numerous conversations. Does that make sense? All right. So what I'd like to do is introduce the individuals who will be doing most of the listening here tonight. First, sitting closest to me is Senator Doug Peters, who happens to represent the Senate side of the legislature, and he leads the delegation of senators. Senator Peters. Sitting in the center, well, actually, I'll hold him for last. Sitting to the county executive's left, your right, is a member of the House of Delegates who is here today, Delegate Jay Walker, who is here representing the delegation, and we'll hear your points. And last and certainly not least, sitting in the center, Mr. Rashawn L. Baker III. I think we'll start off by letting the delegate and the senator say a few words opening up, and then we'll hand it over to the county executive. Senator Peters, you want to go first?
Sure. We have a cheering section over here, so you're going to have to be very loud when you come up and speak. But I'm a veteran now. This is my third session with the county executive, and I just want to commend him for opening up the doors of government and trying to solve problems. That's what we all do here as elected officials. Some people come to us, it could be a federal problem, it could be a state, a county, a city problem. Our job is to point you in the right direction and solve your problem. So he's brought all of his staff here today, and at the previous meetings, he's connected people with problems. He solved them immediately here in this room. So again, I'm very supportive of the process. He's run a very transparent government. I look forward to working with my colleague, Jay Walker, in the House. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. For those of you all who don't know, I'm Delegate Jay Walker. I represent 26th District, Southern Prince George's County. On behalf of Chair Jolene Ivey, who couldn't be here, I'm glad to be here to hear the thoughts from the people, which is the best part of our job. I'd like to take the time right now to introduce the elected officials that are joining. District 47, Delegate-elect Diana Fennell. And also at the table representing District 25, Delegate-elect Darrell Barnes. We are excited about them joining us in Annapolis, look forward to continuing to serve. And I would just reiterate the point that that you heard Barry Hudson mention. We're here to listen. I would say one of the first bills I passed in Annapolis came from a listening session. And there was a lady that was in the crowd, and she talked about wanting to have the ability to
more importantly, what we decided to do was bring your government out here with us. So you may come up here and ask a question, and I made it to one of our staff members that's here. Our directors are out there. I know a number are in the hallways, but those directors and staff from the Prince George's County government, you could just raise your hand so they can see it. See? They're excited. They're really thrilled to be here. They want to answer your questions. They want to solve your problems. That's why they're willing to be here at night. They said, I'd rather be than here working with you. Isn't that right? Yeah. Oh, you see? I told you. It's your government. But we look forward to talking to you. And this is the most that we're going to talk. We're going to listen. Sometimes folks will come up and they say, well, we need you to answer our questions. We're here to listen to you. We're going to take the notes back. And like I said, in those cases, we'll direct you to various departments. With that, Mr. Hudson and Courtney, we'll turn it back over to you.
Just one other thing. One of the great things about these sessions is that we get an opportunity to bring some people who don't come into our schools on a regular basis. As the county executive said, we're here at Flowers, and we're lucky to have with us, and we'll ask him to bring a few greetings, the principal, Dr. Brown, to say a few words. Sometimes he makes his students recite a poem, I believe. I don't think he'll do that for you today, but we'd like him to bring some greetings.
Mr. Hudson, no, we won't do See It Through tonight, but normally we do. My name is Gorman Brown. I'm principal here at Charles Herbert Flowers High School, and I greet you in the spirit of excellence. We're excited about what's going on in Prince George's County right now. And though we have several Howard University Bison here on the stage, we're very excited, and men who are that are leading in a manner that is appropriate and is going to give us the opportunity to be successful as a district. We're just excited about what we're doing academically. Flowers High School has just been recognized as having the highest ninth grade retention rate in the district, 94%. And you know, when you make great ninth graders, you'll have great seniors in 3 years and great college students a year after that. So we're absolutely excited about what's going on here at Charles Herbert Flowers High School. Thank you so much for coming out and visiting us this evening, and have an outstanding evening. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to get started. And the way this works is we'll call two names. Since we're in the playoffs now, we'll use baseball terminology. We'll have the first person come up to bat, and the next person is on deck. Once football season starts, we'll switch that up, Delegate Walker. So our first speaker that we have is Amy Pergoski, and on deck is Charlene Baristo.
Hi, good evening. Mr. Baker, it's
Good
nice to
evening.
see you again. First, congratulations on the Civic Leadership Award. I saw that on Facebook, so that's fantastic. I've been a homeowner. My name is Amy Pergoski. I've been a homeowner in this county for 14 years, and I've been a volunteer at the county animal shelter for 9. I hate public speaking, but I love shelter animals, so I'm up here. I always advocate adopting our shelter animals. They're absolutely fantastic. I'm the proud mom of 5 dogs, 3 of which came from the shelter, and I have a hobby permit, so I'm legal. And I do know there are budget concerns. I know that, you know, and I recognize that, but I also just want to remind you too, but the county, when the county took over running the animal shelter, it's been 5 years now, and the contract staff still has no benefits. As a result, you have lost many good employees, many good people that I have known that have left because they just couldn't make it work with no benefits. And then because of the short staff, it often takes months to replace employees just because of the way the process is. And then that poses a safety issue when you don't have enough staff on hand to deal with the animals. Years ago, when nonprofits ran the contract side of it, they were able to offer their staff affordable benefits. So I'm wondering if it's time to consider putting it out to bid again and letting another nonprofit run it, or just look into how they were able to manage to do that for the staff. In addition to the lack of benefits, I can tell you firsthand, working with the shelter animals, it's really emotionally draining because it's life and death, really. And there's never a shortage of animals coming in, unfortunately. So because of that, you know, there's also low morale. I believe there's insufficient training sometimes because there is not enough staff to go around. And poor communication. I feel like sometimes, just from what I've witnessed firsthand, sometimes it's not a cohesive team because it is so stressful. And I understand that and I appreciate that. So I would like the county to come up with ways to boost morale. You know, if the benefits aren't feasible because of the budget restrictions, come up with some other way to demonstrate, you know, how much we genuinely appreciate their efforts. You know, so when you add the no benefits and all the emotional stress a lot of people leave, and that's very unfortunate. I would also say, so that's like the internal side of what I personally witnessed at the shelter. Then on the external side, I would like to see some more free advertising through the constant contact that the shelter uses. Like every week I get an email from, spices in your diet, to plastic silverware, to low-flow shower heads. And it wasn't until I sent an email to Mr. Ortiz that I'm like, why can't we do this for the animals? And he did promptly. So, so your staff is listening to the public, and I do appreciate that. But I would like to see more of that more often. Like right now, it's Adopt a Dog Month. All of October, the adoption fees are reduced to $100. That's fantastic. And every single day, I don't know if the public knows this, but senior pets, the fee is completely waived. So that's great. So finally, I just want to give my heartfelt thanks to the citizens that do have pets and that to keep them happy and healthy, spayed and neutered, out of the shelter, because they really contribute to the positive side of what we're doing. And I just want to say that it's appreciated when we have good pet owners in the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Charlene Bierstow. I am a Bowie resident, single mother, environmental analyst, and I am representing the Maryland Coalition to halt cell towers at school grounds. As a parent, I am very worried and concerned about what is about to happen to all of our Prince George's County students' health. Before I tell you about that, I want you to know a quote from Thomas Jefferson. Honesty is the first chapter of the Book of Wisdom. And another quote from John Adams. Liberty cannot be preserved without general knowledge among people. If things are to go on as they are on course, Prince George's County will be the worst school district in the United States, again, in the United States, for cell towers. There is a report called the Bragg Antenna Ranking of Schools, and it is a survey of schools exposed to radio frequency radiation from neighborhood antennas and cell phone towers. At the current proposed rate of 60 cell towers with 3 carriers each, that's 3 times 60, to meet the projections that Milestone has made to the Prince George's County School Board to raise $2.5 million, Prince George's County will have to have 60 cell phone towers radiating our children. I believe each one of our kids is statistically significant. I believe that any child with cancer is a tragedy. And we know that these towers cause cancer. The FCC's guidelines are based on thermal heating, which is what our microwaves are based on. If your cell phone tower can work in your car with your windows closed and the rain outside, why can't that signal still go through your body? It can go through glass, it can go through metal, it can go through sheetrock. These towers are powerful and they will be located close to schools. The EPA, according to the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law, that's an environmental justice report, has recommended that the EPA work with the Department of Education to set guidelines for cell phone tower siting near schools. Their executive summary, guidance number 54, says that guidance should be developed for siting cell towers away from schools because they are potential sources of pollution. The Department of Education should endorse the EPA model of school siting guidelines and require recipients for federal assistance to comply with it. There are many studies that show that this causes cancer. You must save our children from this radiation. Schools should be in the business of education, not radiation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up to bat, we have Thea Scarrato, and on deck is Timothy York.
Okay. Cell tower machinery catches on fire, emits radiation, and has one of the highest worker accident rates. This commercial industry has no business on our school grounds. But how did one Virginia company, Milestone, get sole access to 73 of our schools with no public discussion or comment, and why no bids? The county is in violation of its own residential zoning code, section 27445, which states, "The tower can be built without a special exception only if there are 4 or fewer visits by maintenance a year." And it's common knowledge that diesel generators need regular maintenance about once a month or more. Now, I've had back and forth emails with Milestone going on 2 months asking for maintenance schedules, and they've declined from sending me the information. But in a Fairfax County application, Milestone states that the cell tower will not generate traffic other than once or twice a month for a technician to visit to ensure everything's in proper working order. Simple math. Once a month is 12 visits. 12 is not 4. Now, the planning director told me it's an enforcement issue which will be handled after the facilities are installed. That's unacceptable. It's like selling me a sports car when I'm pregnant with 2 sets of triplets. And it defies logic because 12 is not 4, and with 4 vendors per tower, it's 48 visits. And 48 is not 4. This is illegal. This circumvents the special exception process by which people have a voice in the decision-making process. How come in Montgomery County the majority of cell towers are located on schools with the highest free lunch in minority populations? And when a tower is proposed in mostly white and affluent neighborhoods, the parents shoot it down in 24 hours. But here, the PTAs are not even told when leases have been signed. Why did we have to put in a public information request to get the leases? And how come I was told that it would cost over $4,000 to get my public information request of asking for communications between Milestone and the board? This backroom deal seems to be hatched and developed outside of public view. Where is the transparency? Such towers will literally change the landscape of neighborhoods, further depreciating home values. And the highest levels of radiation will be reserved for school children. Our children's safety is not for sale. The community should have a voice. I'm asking you to stop this cell tower construction on school grounds, which is in clear violation of Prince George's County Code, and allow citizens to have their legal right to the special exception process. Please go to safeschoolspg.org for more information. I also want to add, because I know a lot about artificial turf, that it contains known carcinogens and it off-gases carcinogenic gases, and I hope that you will look at instead funding proper maintenance for grass fields because they need to be fully funded. I think that's the issue. We can all agree that the fields have an issue. It's the environmentally green choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
While Mr. York is coming up, we'll also ask on deck to have Beatrice Rogers, and then following Beatrice, Arnold Cole.
And if I can take this moment, I want to recognize that we have our county CAO here, Nick Majette. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Timothy York, and I'm a lifelong resident of Prince George's County, and I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you my story. I am a quadriplegic with cerebral palsy who requires assistance with all tasks of daily living. In 2003, after the sudden death of my father, my family contacted the ARC for assistance. The services provided by the staff made it possible for my mother and me to live in our home and continue living as a family. Then in 2012, my mother passed away and my future was uncertain. With the help of my aunt and uncle, along with my church family, I was able to move into a home on the grounds of Riverdale Baptist Ministries in Upper Marlboro. I live in a home there with with a staff member of the church and her family. I currently receive 20 hours a day of care from ARC staff available to me because I receive funding through DDA. The support services that I receive on a daily basis from my caregivers has given me the opportunity to live a full life and truly thrive. I have been able to participate in community outings, attend professional sporting events, attend church functions, visit museums, and historic battlefields in the area, and to go shopping and do other activities that one would expect just as a course in the course of daily living. And I've even been asked to serve on the board of the ARC. While I do have support from the family that I live with, it is the services provided by the caregivers that I depend on every hour. If these services and my staff were not available to me, I would not be able to live in my current home and would more than likely be placed in a group home or nursing home, which would greatly diminish my health and well-being. I would therefore respectfully ask that you use your leadership as county executive to partner with the state to increase direct support staff wages. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Baker.
Good evening,
and
Bee.
Senator and delegates. For the record, my name is Bee Rogers, and I live at 7108 Hanover, Ora Glen Court in Greenbelt. And I'm here today wearing two hats, one as the Public Policy Director of the ARC, and the other as a staff consultant for approximately 20 nonprofit agencies who support over 2,500 individuals like Mr. York, and who employ more than 1,500 staff members providing that support. More than 87% of them live in the county. We're here our problem is money, and so probably not what you want to hear today. I know what the budget is like. First, I want to acknowledge the work that the Prince George's delegation did, both in the Senate and the House, in helping us raise the minimum wage last year, and that was very helpful. We had unanimous support from our delegation. We're here to ask for a supplement. We know that when you passed the minimum wage, which we all support, you did that partly, certainly because it's the right thing to do, but also because of the competition that was going to come with our neighbors in Montgomery County and the district. And we applaud that joint effort. Now we're asking you to continue that joint effort in helping us keep pace with that wage. For your information, Montgomery County next year will supplement the developmental disabilities providers to the tune of $8,463,101, which they have traditionally done for a long time. And the Living Wage Act in DC this year requires $13.40 an hour for all of the nonprofits that receive contract from them. As we looked at the state, what the state did and what the county did, over time, the county's requirement, which is higher, will find us not able to meet the requirements of the county legislation, even with what the state has enacted. And for this reason, we're going to need about a $2 million supplement next year. I know this is not the time for the budget, and we'll be coming back to you. This is just sort of our first foray to let you know that we're coming. We all face the same problems of retention and a highly qualified staff. And we all know of family situations where an elderly grandparent or a family member is sick. For families with an individual with disabilities, this is a lifelong issue for caregiving, coupled with the worry about what will happen when I can no longer care for them. I really can't cover this in 3 minutes, so I have a large package for you, along with a letter requesting an opportunity to meet with you in the next 30 days to discuss this in more detail. Thank you.
And Courtney will take the package, right, Courtney? And I think Gloria Brown is out there, so she'll be happy to look at that package, right, Gloria?
Good evening, Mr. Baker and staff. My name is Arnold Cole. I reside at 8620 Hillview Road. I'm a graduate from Largo High School. I'm also a graduate from Coppin State University. Go Eagles. I'm currently holding a position as a driver for the ARC of Prince George's County. And I'm here today to ask for your guidance and your help on trying to help us with our supplemental funding for our wages. As a driver, I am responsible for transporting the individuals with developmental disabilities to and from home and to their day programs throughout the community. This requires over 40 hours of specialized training and experience in dealing with disabled individuals. I am required to address behavior problems, hygiene concerns, and other safety concerns that come from day-to-day dealing with. I truly love my job and working with this population, and seeing the difference I make in the quality of life for those I support is very encouraging. Increased wages are important for all direct care workers. Many employees, as myself, are overworked and underpaid, and we ask for your help. My coworkers and myself are living paycheck to paycheck. Low pay forces us to work unsafe amounts of overtime and take second jobs. Right now, I have to work an average of 90 hours to earn a little more than $600 every 2 weeks. It's confusing and frustrating because direct caregivers are entrusted with the well-being of some of Maryland's most vulnerable people. Our duties are often daunting, heartbreaking, and physically challenging, and it can be extremely hard on our families. Daily, I have to get up at 5 a.m., and some nights I don't get home to 8 p.m. This has a negative effect on the quality of life for myself and for my family. I have a 4-year-old son who I would like to be there to provide for him as he grows and be able to make certain events and milestones in his life. And as my family grows, I have to start thinking about other career options in order to provide for them and their quality of life. I would like to stay at the ARC, so I ask for your help in this matter and this attention. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'd like to call up next to bat Sabrina Sin, and on deck, Dr. Lois Harrison-Jones. We've also been joined, I believe, by Delegate-elect Angela Angel. I think she's in the back of the room.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank you, Mr. Baker, for having this forum for community members to voice our concerns. As a mother of 3 children, sometimes I find that I have to make decisions based on what I believe is best for them. As community leaders, I find that oftentimes you are placed in the same dilemma. Only your decision affects a much wider audience. Elected officials would have us to believe that decisions are made based off of research and statistics, but when it boils down to it, final decisions are merely based off of beliefs. I say this because unless there's some research I haven't seen, the decision to place cell phone towers on our children's schools is merely based on belief. The belief that cell towers will not cause any harm to our children. But this belief has not been conclusively proven by research. Whereas I believe there will be an adverse effect on the health of our children if they are confined in a building of 2,000 plus students for 6 or more hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 months of the year, for 4 years, and in some instances more, while being exposed to radiation from cell phones, Wi-Fi, and cell towers. I can also say that my belief has not been conclusively proven either. Based on the research by the World Health Organization and the American Cancer Society, neither use definitive terms to describe the long-term effects these towers will have on the health of citizens. I say citizens because none of the research I saw was based on children, partly because it is unethical to perform such experiments on young developing bodies and brains. However, that is exactly what Milestone Communications and our school board is doing. As an educator, one of the things I often task my students to do before they present a problem is to think of a solution. So as I thought about this problem, I wondered why these towers aren't being placed on the grounds of area churches. In this county, there is a church on almost every corner that is struggling to keep its doors open. Why not establish some type of guidelines for churches to reinvest in the communities by using a portion of the funding from the towers to fund community-based programs and establish an oversight committee to oversee the delegation of the funds? Or have a prescribed community program that every church could implement. Then I thought this may infringe on the separation of church and state. So why not place the towers on local government property, since I am sure one is already planned, if not placed, on the grounds of the school board? So why not place them on the grounds of parks and historical sites, where people have option of choice? They can decide whether or not they will attend these venues, and if so, for how long, as opposed to placing them where children are literally a captive audience or participants. I understand that we live in a tech society and these towers are inevitable. However, we must use wisdom to make decisions that affect our children. If my concerns fall on deaf ears and these towers are placed on school grounds, then I would like to see some type of system in place to track the health of students who attend schools where these towers are placed. You believe the radiation from these towers will not harm our children? I believe that the ramifications of the decision to place these towers on school grounds may not be manifested until years from now. And if they are, I pray that God shows mercy on those who have showed no mercy on our children. Thank you.
Thank you. And I should say, for those who are coming to testify, if you do have written testimony you'd like to submit it here, you can do that also. Thank you.
Good evening, and especially good evening to the Bisons up there. And congratulations and best wishes for this homecoming weekend. Obviously, my name is Lois Harrison Jones, and obviously I'll be commenting on education. I certainly want to commend those who planned these here listening sessions for the opportunity for the community to be proactive in providing input as opposed to reacting after the fact. I want to make a point that I know we've heard before, but I want to underscore the fact that we all know that schools tend to be a major attraction to why people live and remain in a community. Prince George's County is a beautiful county. It is a place that anyone should wish to live. And I've become extremely protective, though I've only lived here 10 years. It bothers me when I hear disparaging remarks about the county, many of them unfounded, mainly because people are not aware. And these comments tend to come from those who are not residents of our county. And so I guess I would want us all to commit to making sure that we're being positive in our comments and our actions toward the county that we love so much. But in terms of what I'd like to say to the officials here, I'd like to simply mention that I appreciate the fact that I believe it's 15% increase that you've given in terms of funding for education in the county over the past 4 years, and that's important. But we know that that also the demands have been probably even greater. But as you begin to craft legislation, I want to encourage you to think holistically about education. We sometimes think that because one action is taken, that it's supposed to transform education. And I'm speaking specifically to and supporting the notion of early childhood education. It is extremely important, but it alone will not transform education. We need to look at all the things that must be done simultaneously to make a difference. And what are some of those things? We know that you cannot have good schools without good personnel. We must attract, maintain, and compensate our teachers and our principals adequately, so we cannot begin to siphon off our staff. I was jokingly, I don't guess it was a joke, but I asked I guess he was an administrator in an adjacent school district once, how many new teachers do you have? And the person smiled at me and said, we have no new teachers. And when I continued to ask, he said, well, we don't have any beginning teachers. And I said, where do you get them? He said, we recruit them from Prince George's County and from Washington, D.C. That I found very disturbing, that people were recruiting our experienced teachers and replacing us with inexperienced teachers. I'd like to also state that in addition to adequately prepared personnel, we need to think about more instructional time, and I hope no teachers in here will hiss at me, but why do schools in Singapore and other places do so well? Because they have a great deal more time for instruction. We must think about, I don't care whether it's extended day, week, or year, but we definitely need to look at education holistically. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony.
Up next to bat, and I hope this person is ready, Mr. Reginald Reddy. And on deck is Margaret Bowles.
You were born ready.
Good evening, County Executive Baker and staff members and citizens. I want to thank you for this opportunity to allow the residents to speak. My name is Reginald Reddy. I am a homeowner living in the Largo Town Center community, right across the street from the Largo Metro Station. My interest is really regarding economic development in the county and transit-oriented development, or TOD for short. What I am pleased with is that according to the Plan Prince George's 2035 plan, I am pleased that the county is committed to quality transit-oriented development around the county's 15 underutilized metro stations. In particular, I'm excited about the commitment to 5 particular metro stations. That includes Prince George's Plaza, Branch Avenue, New Carrollton, Suitland, and Largo Town Center. As a resident, I'm also excited about the proposed new medical center that will be